Hello, my name's Kerry King of Global Business Mentoring and welcome to this video. Today we're looking at Business Analyzer software, and Business Analyzer is used to develop profit improvement and financial management strategies for small business and used by accountants in public practice and accountants who are CFOs in their particular businesses. These are the elements contained within Business Analyzer, and today we're going to be looking at Profit Explorer. This is the home page of Profit Explorer, and we access the financial models through the open button. And we go straight to the instructions page, and you can see the quick link panel of access buttons, and Profit Explorer is in the top left. And this brings us the auto version of Profit Explorer. There are two versions. Auto is where you can import data directly from the financial analyzer model contained in the file, and the manual version is where you enter the data manually. In the activation buttons in the top right hand corner, you can see that there is a button there called Import, and that's the one we'll be using today. With no data entered, it'll bring up this window that asks for customer numbers, and in this particular demonstration we're going to choose 500 active customers, and then we'll try, and you'll see that populates a few of the cells relating to customer numbers in this business. And we'll try one more time. It brings up a second window asking for the average value of a transaction in the business. And for today's purposes, we'll choose 500 again. And we'll try one more time, and then you can see it populates. And what this does, it provides us with a starting point to develop financial or rather profit improvement strategies for a particular business. It has provided us with, in the top left-hand corner, we can see the opening customer numbers. And then we have opportunity to determine the loss rate of customers, which occurs in any business every year. And this has got a default value of 20%, or 1/5 of customers will cease to buy in the coming 12 months. Similarly, underneath that is the annual gain rate, and it has a default setting of 20%. And that means that our customer numbers have remained static for the year until we choose otherwise. Underneath that is the transaction frequency for each of those customers, and it's currently set at 7.84, and I'll explain why that is in just a moment. Underneath that is where I keyed in the $500 average transaction value, and a combination of the total customers multiplied by the transaction frequency and the average transaction value gives us our revenue target. And in fact, this could be last year's revenue. Underneath that, there is a 25% gross profit margin in this particular business, which came through with the import button, leaving us with a gross profit in dollars of $490,000. And then underneath that are the fixed costs of this business at the moment. And the bottom is the profit for that year of $107,030, with a couple of percentage numbers beside it, just for illustration purposes. On the far right hand side is the cell referred to as ACPT, and it's currently $98, and what that stands for is the average cost per transaction. And the reason that is there is to give us an indication of what it costs in overhead per sales transaction in the business to manage it. All other costs are either in the cost of materials, and together with the fixed costs, that is the total cost for this business. The model determines the transaction frequency number by taking the revenue number and dividing it by the number of customers, and then dividing that by the average transaction value. There are 6 drivers of profitability in a business, and this has been highlighted with the numbers beside the cells, which have got a 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then 5, and then 6. And they're the 6 drivers that we'll focus on. But today's exercise will simply be demonstrating the quick scenario button capability of Profit Explorer. where you can demonstrate to a client what the immediate effect would be of improving those 6 profit drivers by the various percentages given in those activation buttons. So we'll take the first button, which is just 1%. And in a workshop with a client, the first thing you would ask them is, how much extra profit do you think would be able to be created if each of our 6 profit drivers was improved simply by 1%? And they'll come up with various values. It doesn't really matter. It's just testing to see whether or not they have a sense of the leverage that can be gained by improving each one of the profit drivers. And then you'd illustrate them to them like this. You can see now that each of the profit drivers' annual loss rate of customers has reduced to 19%, annual gain rate has increased to 21%, and what that's done is added 10 additional customers to the business for the year, starting at 500 and now it's 510. The transaction frequency also increased by 1%, going up to 7.92, and the average transaction value also increased by that 1% from $500 to $505. Now revenue is $2,039,384. Gross profit margin was increased by 1 percentage point from 25 to 26, and fixed costs were also increased by the 1%. But what you'll notice is that the average cost per transaction, the cell on the far right, it reduced by 1% down to 97. And what we're saying here, dynamically, the business is likely to incur more fixed costs as it attempts to grow. And what we want to do is make sure that the growth in revenue is not outstripped by the growth in fixed costs. And thus, the average cost per transaction is a way of monitoring that. And we can see now the profit is $139,649. And the chart on the left shows us the original starting position, and now after the 1% improvement, the extra $32,619 in profit. What we'll do is reset those back to our original numbers, and we can see it's just removed all of that. And the next thing would be to demonstrate to the client, well, if that's what would happen if it was only a 1% increase, then what do you think that number might be if it were 5%? So let's demonstrate that. And we can see now that from our 500 customers originally, the loss rate has reduced to 15% from 20. The gain rate has increased from 20 to 25. Now total customer numbers is 550. The transaction frequency has increased by 5% from 7.84 to 8.23. And the average transaction value has increased by that 5% to 525. Revenue now, $2,376,990. Gross profit margin was increased by 5 percentage points from 25 to 30. And fixed costs have also increased and now up to $420,000. But you'll notice the average cost per transaction has reduced by 5%, so 93. And what that is an illustration of improving efficiency in our fixed costs, or utilising the resources that are produced from incurring those fixed costs. And we can now see in the chart on the left that the profit improvement comparison shows that we've increased the business profitability by $185,853. Now this may not be achievable in 1 year, but you might say to your client or to your managing director or GM, we could perhaps set this for our 2 or 3 year target and work on varying percentages in those drivers over that intervening period to achieve this profitability. But it just shows that a 5% improvement across those drivers will have that impact on the bottom line. We'll reset this one more time, and this time I'll use the just 10%, and I call this the gold lotto button. And we can see now that the loss rate is reduced by half, from 20% on customers down to 10, and that the gain rate has increased from 20 up to 30. So we've got an increase in customers of 100, because we only lost 50 in this scenario. We gained 150, so the net gain is 100, making the total 600. Transaction frequency now is 8.62, which is an average for all customers. Some will have a lot more frequency and others will have, of course, a lot less. Average transaction value has now gone up from 500 to 550. Revenue now 2,845,920. Gross profit margin now from 25% to 35%. And fixed costs increased even further up to 454,968. But the average cost per transaction has reduced by that 10% from 98 down to 88. And profitability now in excess of $500,000 per annum, which is an increase of 434,074. So what this is demonstrating is the power of leverage by working on strategies to improve the outcome from the 6 drivers of profitability. But this is the way you can use this model to show your client we develop strategies to improve profitability, we just don't set targets. And so by developing strategies, it's a much more real outcome. So we'll clear all of that and take the model back to 0. And I hope you've got some benefit from seeing that demonstration of how Profit Explorer can be used when you're working with clients, GMs and managing directors. Take us back out of the model. I hope you've enjoyed today's demonstration of the Profit Explorer model in Business Analyzer. If you'd like to know more about Global Business Mentoring or Business Analyzer or any of the other products of GBM, simply go to our website www.businessadvisortools.com. And this is Kerry King. Thank you for joining me on this video.